In March 2020, as the world grappled with the unfolding COVID-19 pandemic, a baby girl was born in a bath at home in Cheshire, England. But her birth was not celebrated. It was hidden. The child, born with a cleft palate, was kept in total isolation for the first 3 years of her life. Instead of growing up in a loving home, she was confined to a drawer under a divan bed, subjected to unimaginable neglect and cruelty. Her mother, a 35-year-old woman whose name remains protected for legal reasons, orchestrated this horrific ordeal. For years, she concealed her daughter's existence from everyone, including her partner. The discovery of this child, almost 3 years later, would shock the nation and expose the chilling extent of her mother's deceit and cruelty. From the moment of her birth, the little girl's existence was defined by secrecy and deprivation. Her mother, ashamed or overwhelmed by her daughter's cleft palate, made the decision to hide her. The child was placed in a drawer under a divan bed, a dark, cramped space where she spent the entirety of her early years. The drawer, a storage compartment meant for clothes or household items, became the child's prison. It was lined with old clothing, devoid of comfort or ventilation. The child never saw sunlight or breathed fresh air. Her mother initially fed her herself, but then fed her only milky Weetabix through a syringe, a diet wholly insufficient for a growing child. Malnourished and neglected, she grew weaker with each passing day. The lack of sensory stimulation and human interaction stunted her development. She never learned to walk, talk, or play. By the time she was discovered, her frail body was covered in matted hair, her cleft palate untreated, and she weighed a mere 8 kilograms, 17.6 pounds, less than half the average weight for her age. The mother went to work and took her other children to school, and left the child alone in the drawer for hours on end. The child never had a birthday or Christmas present and had no interaction with her siblings. The truth came to light in February 2023 due to a moment of chance. The mother's partner, who had been in a relationship with her for some time, returned to the house to use the bathroom after noticing she had left her keys in the door. Normally, the defendant was careful never to leave him alone upstairs, but this time, she had left in a rush. As he climbed the stairs, he heard a faint noise. At first, he dismissed it, but the sound persisted. It was unmistakable. What he thought was the cry of a baby. Following the noise, he opened the drawer under the divan bed and was met with a sight that left him shaken. Inside was a tiny, malnourished child with matted hair, sunken eyes, and pale skin. She was weak, her cries barely audible, and her body showed clear signs of severe neglect. Overcome with shock, the man fled the house and sought help. He told his mother what he had discovered, and she immediately contacted the mother of the defendant. The situation escalated quickly, and social workers along with the police were called to the scene. When authorities arrived, they were horrified by what they found. The officers and social workers gave moving statements in court, describing the harrowing condition of the child. One officer said, "It was a scene I'll never forget. The child was barely clinging to life. She looked like she had never known daylight or comfort." The social worker stated, "My initial feelings and thoughts when we entered the mother's bedroom was of disbelief. From entering this room, the bed was high, possibly a double mattress, so I could not see the baby. Her mother walked around the side of the bed and I followed. I was taken aback by what I saw and was extremely shocked to see a baby looking up at me in a divan drawer. When the baby was examined by medical experts, she could not crawl, talk, or make any communicative noises and made repetitive self-soothing movements. She had a swollen abdomen, significant nappy rash, and poor muscle bulk. She also had floppy limbs, swollen feet in an abnormal position, and redness to the other limbs, with her development delayed to the equivalent of a 10-month-old. Within 2 weeks of her admission to hospital, the child was vocalizing, seeking adult comfort, and crying to make her needs known. The mother was arrested that same day and charged with 4 counts of child cruelty. During police interviews, she offered various excuses, claiming she was overwhelmed and ashamed of her daughter's cleft palate. She told officers that she'd been in an abusive relationship with the father of the baby and didn't want to tell him she was pregnant. However, the evidence showed a sustained pattern of neglect and deceit. She had deliberately avoided medical care and kept her daughter hidden from family, friends, and even her partner. The mother's partner, a key witness in the trial, recounted the moment he discovered the child. "I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I trusted her, and I had no idea this was happening under my nose." His statements, along with the accounts of first responders, painted a horrifying picture of the child's life. In November 2024, the mother was sentenced to 7 years and 6 months in prison. The judge, visibly affected, described the case as one of the most egregious acts of cruelty I've ever encountered. While the sentence brought some measure of justice, many argued it could never undo the suffering inflicted on the child. The child, now removed from her mother's custody, was placed in the care of a foster family. Her recovery began immediately. Surgeons performed life-saving procedures to repair her cleft palate, allowing her to eat and speak more easily. However, the physical recovery was just the beginning. Years of neglect had left deep emotional scars that would take much longer to heal. Her foster parents described her as a resilient child, despite the trauma she had endured. Slowly, she began to discover the world outside the confines of the drawer. Sunlight, fresh air, toys, and human affection were all new to her. She showed curiosity, hesitantly reaching out for the warmth and care she had been denied for so long. Therapists worked closely with her to address her developmental delays and psychological trauma. She struggled to trust adults and feared sudden movements, but over time, she began to bond with her foster family. "She's discovering what love and safety mean for the first time," her foster mother said. "It's a long road, but she's a fighter." The case of the drawer baby sent shockwaves through the community and beyond, sparking intense debates about child protection, the role of neighbors, and the responsibilities of both individuals and institutions. How could a child remain hidden, in plain sight for nearly 3 years? What systems failed to intervene, and how can such tragedies be prevented in the future? These questions haunt not only those directly involved in the case, but also a society that prides itself on protecting its most vulnerable members. The case revealed critical gaps in the child welfare system. The mother avoided prenatal and postnatal care, a red flag that should have triggered concern. No medical records existed for the child, and she had never been registered with a doctor or enrolled in any form of childcare or education. These absences highlight systemic blind spots that allow vulnerable children to slip through the cracks. Neighbors, family members, and even the mother's partner were unaware of the child's existence. This raises the uncomfortable question of whether people could have done more to notice subtle signs of neglect. Could the faint cries heard by neighbors have prompted earlier intervention? Could family members have asked more probing questions about the mother's behavior? These are the what-ifs that linger long after the case has been resolved. This case serves as a stark reminder of society's shared responsibility to protect children. While it is easy to place the blame solely on the mother, the broader community must also reflect on its role. Child protection is not just the duty of social workers and law enforcement, it is a collective obligation. Communities must remain vigilant, supportive, and proactive in identifying signs of abuse or neglect, even when those signs are subtle or uncomfortable to confront. The courage of the mother's partner, who acted on his instincts and uncovered the truth, is a poignant example of the difference one person can make. His actions, though accidental, ultimately saved the child's life and exposed the horrifying truth. His story is a testament to the importance of listening to our intuition and taking action when something feels wrong. Despite the unimaginable cruelty she endured, the little girl's story is ultimately one of resilience and hope. Her recovery, though slow and challenging, has shown the incredible capacity of the human spirit to heal. Placed in a loving foster home, she is finally receiving the care and attention she was denied for so long. Each day, she takes small steps toward reclaiming her childhood, learning to trust, to smile, and to embrace the world she had never known. Her case has inspired renewed efforts to address child neglect and abuse. Awareness campaigns, training for healthcare and education professionals, and legislative reforms have been proposed to ensure no child endures a similar fate. The tragedy of her early years has become a powerful catalyst for change, reminding society that every child deserves to grow up in a safe and loving environment. Today, the child's identity remains protected, and her future is carefully guarded. by those who are determined to give her the life she deserves. Though her past is a haunting reminder of humanity's capacity for cruelty, it also stands as a testament to the transformative power of compassion and care. Her recovery is not just a story of survival. It is a beacon of hope. She has been given a second chance, a chance to grow, to learn, and to experience the love and joy that were denied to her for so long. Her story, though deeply tragic, carries a powerful message. Even in the darkest circumstances, there is the possibility of healing, change, and a brighter future.